So,
Good morning, boys and girls. It's us. We're back. Got Tony V, who's got some Latin under his name. Got Chris B, who's having Groundhog Day for Christmas Day dinner. And got me, who's under the lights. How are you? Tony, Chris, speak.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
yeah, very good. Thank you. With the exception of being a lifelong suffering Spurs fan.
Well, I sent an email to Vinay
yeah.
Venkatesham yesterday, just basically saying, stop being a nitwit and get on with it. So we shall see what we shall see if we get a response.
Yeah.
Even
We're now
there's
the
a
four
hound.
guys.
There's a hound.
Oh,
a
look
Christmas
at
miracle,
nah,
I
look.
tells you.
There's probably more sense coming out of that beautiful animal than there would be for the rest of us.
What a hooligan!
Yes.
What have you
Well,
got
all I
there?
can say
Is
is
that an elephant?
let's, mate. If the response to your email was the fact that we might re-recruit Ryan Mason, it's not worked.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, wasn't it? Talk about.
Well, I regret it now. I really regret it now. But I wish I'd said, can you make my Christmas dreams come true and extend Richarlison's contract? That one's been doing the rounds.
You know it'll come true, don't you?
So, gentlemen, what do we think? Am I all right here? No, got the microphone pointing the wrong way. What do we think, gentlemen? Are we happy and we know it? What are our thoughts after the Liverpool game?
I think we've got to take one step back before the Liverpool game and address a subject that will be close to your heart. ENIC looking to pursue Danny for his shares. That's clearly with the accountancy review they've instructed. You don't do that sort of action unless there's an end game to it. You're not investing a third-party consultant to come in at a considerable cost to the business unless you want to go over via an acrimonious departure or whether you want to get something from it. So I firmly believe that they're going to try and get every share he had out of Daniel Levy.
I think you're right. I think a lot of ordinary, decent folk who don't really understand business and the way these things work haven't read the room, and they don't understand that the corporation is acting in a manner which is very reactive to the situation. It's a big thing. It's not a small thing. And again, I'll keep this. No, I won't keep it brief. I'll just say what I want to say. We're living in an age where everything is infantilized and simplified and baller, generational talent. Hey, we lost 8-0, but we really showed some character out there, and people are unfortunately still lapping this up. So cogent, intelligent thought, which is like, why is this corporation, why did they have an internal investigation at board level, which resulted in the removal of Donna, the remover of Daniel Phillip, and why are they now having a thing whereby if you have it into your contract at this level, it doesn't happen to you and me perhaps, but at that level, you can have your shares clawed back when you have an unfriendly exit from a business. And also the money they're putting in would devalue the value of Daniel's shares and might require him to put his hand in his pocket and top them up in order to maintain a status quo in terms of the valuation. Because his shares are now he's getting the price they're worth for a price that he paid before, and it doesn't work like that. But this is all complicated stuff and beyond the wit of a lot of people. And I think they're going for the jugular. I genuinely do.
Yeah, 100%.
I think forensic accounting springs to mind here. They have decided that there's wrong. They have sufficient evidence they feel for wrongdoing. And hell hath no fury like a billionaire scorned.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I think is got there. There's also typically in these sort of contracts and employment contracts, especially when you're at that sort of level, there's things like the morals clauses and things of this nature of being of good character. Otherwise, it besmirches the business and things of this nature. And notwithstanding the herefore to after and all this sort of nonsense. But there's but there will be that sort of thing as well. So if they can find any evidence where they can justify ripping those shares away from him, they're going to do it. They're going to do it in a heartbeat.
It's interesting because the I refer to them, or I think of them as the sea lions, clapping their hands, waiting to be thrown another sprat club who said, well, you don't understand these things and it's very high pressured. And think of how bad Spurs were, which was a total fantasy. And if you think I'm making that up, ask Jamie Redknapp, was it a whole 10 grand that he had to give Alan Sugar for making stupid comments? Spurs weren't in an absolute diabolical mess. There have been touch and goes over the years, but what we're dealing with here is something which has caused massive resentment. Now, it is, look, to me, I don't give a damn because it's not my money, but it is my football club. And all I want to see is Spurs improve on the park, on the green stuff. Now, if the Lewis family are serious about pursuing these things, wonderful. I'd like to see Daniel Levy busking. He liked busking so much he inflicted it on us. I'd like to see him out there with his banjo playing in the snow, hoping that he can keep the Levy Familia fire on this Christmas. But I want to see them active in the shop in the transfer window in January. That to me is a level of their commitment. But if they're going for him like this, and they are going for him, then that's tremendous news. But
I hope they go. I hope they, and I echo your sentiments. I hope that they approach the improving the football team with the same gusto they're obviously displaying with trying to basically remove Daniel Levy from Spurs history, which is what they're trying to do. Is they're basically going to erase him from Spurs' history and like he was never there. So if that's what they're doing, I think they are. Then I just hope they're going to use that same vigor and gusto to improve the team.
Yeah. I mean it's long overdue. Blah blah blah. We've discussed this for decades. That's the truth of it. It's no overstatement. But whatever they do to him personally or on a corporate sort of footing is one matter. But what they do to us is far more important. And January, no, it isn't. I know I keep saying it, but it's the shop up the road, so it makes life very easy for these things. I walked into Selfridges yesterday. It was packed. I wasn't the only one shopping, but there was a reason it was packed because you got all the premium stuff in there. You just walk in and guess what? You give them the money and they give you what you want. It's not, there's not like, oh, yeah, come back in work. No, you just give them the money, you point, and they put it in the thing, and ding, ding, you're out the door. Buying stuff isn't complicated. It's getting the money to buy it that's complicated. And Spurs are a Deloitte at the moment as we speak. What time is it now? But Spurs are a Deloitte top 10 money league side. We're not skint members. We're not second raters financially. But on the football pitch, we're miles off, absolutely miles off. And we'll go into the manager thing, I think, effortlessly in a few moments. But the thing is a car crash as far as the football club is concerned. And the sooner we embrace what needs to be done and start and embarking upon a path of sanity, opposed to the classic Tottenham line, and I'm sure every other club in the world uses this, but I bet they don't, is you keep making the same mistakes, expecting for the outcome to be different, and repeating the same failings and the same lack of sort of mental fortitude. And I see that player that we were interested in, Semenyo been linked well before today with Chelsea, particular interest now, but there was Manchester United, loads of other people were interested. Supposedly apologised, and he won't be coming to us. And we're looking at a young lad. Can't remember his first name. Godst, I think his name.
Just what we need, another unknown 20-year-old when we're. Goodness gracious me! I mean, if I had an ounce of sympathy or belief for this club in my veins, I'd say, well, he doesn't look bad. He's a pretty prospect and blah blah. And if Semenyo's doing something else, then But good, wow, it's just such a burden to bear that the right answer's there. But who the hell are we? We're a club that's heading again into a relegation scrap early. Yeah.
Early. We did it last term, but all the dum-dums were going, yeah, and we got away with it. And we got a piece of silverware, which is lovely. But we're heading into a relegation scrap again, and it's not even Christmas. We're a couple of days away from Christmas.
And those behind us are finding form. For instance, Leeds, 3 wins on the bounce, is it? Dominic
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin, 7 goals in 5 games, all those belittling him being available on a free transfer is arguably better than any centre-forward we've currently got at the club. But Forest are only a couple of victories behind. So we're 4 points, we're 22 points. Those beneath us are 18 and 16. Doesn't take a mathematician to realise that you're getting precariously close to that third team at the bottom.
Chris, when you're looking to Fulham to do you a favour, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I would say, if I could say one thing, as I was falling from the top floor of the Spurs fan club building to my fellow fans, is have a look at some other clubs. Stop what you're doing. Stop shouting. Stop tell us how you feel, and look at other clubs. There are people out there who are saying, yeah, we should go and get Morgan Rogers. I obviously Villa are my second club these days, as everybody knows, and he's going nowhere. Why, in the name of God, would he want to leave where he is to come to us?
Yeah.
Look at how other people are playing. Look at Arsenal. Look at Leeds. I mean, I have to say, it's very difficult being a Spurs fan, not for me, because I have a brain, not to look at other clubs, because I'm not getting any pleasure out of watching Spurs, because I'm watching a team that has got 18th written through it like a stick of rock at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, no, let's get rid of the manager.
And this will
go up to a donkey, whisper in its ear, I want you to be a grade A racehorse. Go up to a donkey with a stick and thrash its arse till it bleeds. I want you to be a grade A donkey's just going to sit there. That Spurs are a donkey, and you are in charge of a stick, and you're in charge of kisses, and neither are going to get a transformation. It's still going to be a donkey. Stop shouting, start thinking. You'll be amazed at the results you can achieve.
And that brings us on to the debacle of Tottenham Liverpool last weekend.
Yeah,
another game where I dragged myself down there. Wish I hadn't. The performance was, as per 5 or 6 other games this season, absolutely wank. The lot of them were a bunch of, I can't say it, but absolute nondescript buffoons against a very poor Liverpool side. And any team with anything about them would have fancied their chances of getting something from that game. Yet we have a moment of stupidity from Xavi Simons, and Tony called it via text when I was sitting in the ground watching the VAR. He said, for me, this is a red, he'll go. He was right. Yeah. And then even when you're chasing a game, a moment of stupidity from your captain, who has these lapses of being able to speak English.
A captain with no English. Come on, let's get in every time we mention his
when it suits him, he can communicate in English, but when it doesn't, he wields out some other unfortunate soul to face the firing squad. But again, for 80 minutes, there was nothing about us. We had no attacking play. When the players were going forward, they looked like they had no idea what they're doing. And a couple of examples, 2 or 3 times, the ball went to Kudus in the right channel. You're thinking, drop your shoulder and take your man on. No, he was stopping, going backwards, going sideways. There was no creativity. The players looked like they're playing with shackles. They look like they're handcuffed. There's something not right with them.
This is what I agree with you, Chris. This is where I know there's this between us within the group. There's this thing about, how you feel about Frank, how we feel about Frank. That's irrelevant for this particular point. We won't do that yet, but I do. This is where I think Frank is missing a massive trick here, because Kudus has become incredibly predictable.
Yeah,
everybody knows exactly what he's going to do, so they just set themselves up to allow him to do that, because when he drop inside, he's not producing the ball. He's not producing anything. He just goes nowhere, and he just sort of like loses the ball and then sort of shrugs his shoulders as if to say, "Well, where's everybody else?" Well, no, pal, produce something out of it. He'd be better off. Why don't we just have? I know there's this great big thing in football about having inverted wing backs and inverted wingers, all that. Why don't we just have a left winger who's left-footed, a right winger who's right-footed for a change, and just have some people who can actually pass the ball, who can actually produce quality deliveries? Yeah. Perhaps I'm just being old-fashioned. I don't know. Perhaps that's just me.
I think you're right, and I think it's I think what you're doing is perfectly normal, because I feel the same way when I watch Spurs, and it's almost like they've just met each other, and nobody is doing the sort of inherent basic bits and pieces that you would expect to come from footballers. What we're getting lots of symptoms of footballers, if that makes sense. And I'll explain in so much that we've got bandages on people that aren't actually treating any medical thing. They're being worn as a fashion statement. And we've got people pushing to get into their international sides. And we've got people that are looking like they're being coerced into doing the fulfilling their sort of obligations to do the sort of in the community and the chit chat and what's in the box and all this other nonsense. And we look like a club that's got a media department, a public relations department, who are rather irksome, very keen, I would say, to default into this thing of, well, you lost, so we lost that, so therefore we showed character. When we've showed no character or spirit at all. And it's all describing, it's all this stuff in the ether around a product that isn't actually, there's no product there.
We're going into gunfights armed with water pistols.
Yeah.
We've got nothing about us.
No, you don't. I mean, that team, and again, I go back to the observation about look at other sides. If you were playing a Football Manager game, or you're back in this playground and you're picking players, which Tottenham players would you genuinely pick?
None.
Because I've been there. I remember being at school and I made an absolute howler in a football game in the break. And at lunchtime, they picked players and nobody wanted me because I'd kicked the ball into the fucking pond over the other, over a fence. You don't get picked.
Was it the old team selection where they said, H, you're playing left back? Oh, brilliant. No,
yeah, left back in the changing room. Yeah. Right back behind the toilet block. No, yeah. I mean, it's I mean, these are fundamental things. And people pick winners. People pick people they like, they want to be around. And if you kick the ball over the fence into a pond, you're not going to get picked. And that's what we are.
There was not one positive in that Liverpool game. I sat there for the duration of the game, thinking I could have been at home watching Strictly Come Dancing with a nice hot chocolate or something, as opposed to blowing next to 200 sheets to come and watch this dog shit. We only got mildly interested when Richarlison came on and put one in, and he offered. Well, we're not Richarlison's fans. We still need to move him on. He's still the worst Brazilian we've ever seen. We've had a collection of them, but at least he offered some shithousery. But up until that, and we'll move on to Thomas Frank. But I just don't get his tactics, and I don't get that we spent all that money on Tell, who again is junk. But that piece of junk never gets onto the pitch and is never getting any minutes. And then about 5 or 6 games ago, you saw a little bit of progress on the left side where you had a Doggy and Odebear playing in 2 or 3 games. Remember when Odebear came on against United, we drew 2-2. And it was his shot that deflected off Richarlison to go in to make it 2-1 for us before De Ligt then went up and scored from the corner. Well, you thought there's some progress there. Give that guy 5 or 6 games. Let's see if he is actually Premiership quality. But again, he's nowhere to be seen. But we persist with playing Bergvall, who's a central midfielder, on the left-hand side. And you just think, I just don't get it. I do not get it at all.
Okay, let's talk about Frank, and I'll keep this really brief. And if necessary, I will refer to my brief synopsis. I'm not happy with Frank. I'm not happy with anything. I'm not happy with the tactics. I'm not happy with the play. I'm not happy. Definitely not happy. However, this is the reality. We've got injuries, but we've also got a squad which has perhaps got 15 players in it at best. And none of them are excelling. We've even seen Mickey van der Ven going backwards. Someone that you would never think that of, but he has gone backwards. So nobody's doing particularly any good. And we keep then picking the team. And I think football managers as a bunch, as a breed, tend to be on a kind of damage limitation when they're in our position. And I only say this not because I'm a visionary, it's because I've seen all of our managers, shall we say, since, let's keep it relatively enclosed here, since Pochettino. And the moment you run into trouble with who you can select. You go defensive because that's the natural inclination. Unless you're really stupid, like Postecoglou, and we've now heard subsequently from senior players that they were saying to him, look, let's mix it up a little bit because this isn't going anywhere. But generally speaking, everybody sort of goes in, and we had this bizarre thing, which under both Conte and Mourinho, who I have seen play at other clubs, and they are used to having really good choices before them. And at Tottenham, there were very bad choices before any coach. And so the moment you get into a situation like that, you're not producing wonderful football. So Chelsea, when they were struggling, they didn't have the same oomph in their squad. Mourinho ground out low scoring, low block wins. That's what happens. And Conte's done the same in Italy. And we look at Tottenham, and Ange Postecoglou was trying to be the antithesis of this, and to gung-ho 5 men charging into the penalty area at the same time. And it worked against teams who, quite frankly, would have been more at home in either Scotland or Japan. So what's wrong with Tony Thomas Frank's selections? What's wrong with his tactics? My humble offering to you is it's the players, because most of them aren't very good at playing football. And until that's rapidly improved, things ain't going to change. So bring in another manager. Bring in Keir Starmer to manage us. Bring in Nigel Farage to manage us. Won't make a jot of difference. No matter how crazy the choices are in your management squad, we're still staring at the same, in the main, group of bums. And until that changes, we are not going to get a beautiful symphony out of basically what is a nursery school orchestra of people banging drums and playing little xylophones. That's what we've got. We've got a very low rate, low quality squad. And you can talk tactics. Yep, I get it. But I don't think in my heart of hearts it's going to make any difference until we put some proper players in there who can set us alight, who can do the bizzo. But we're in a bit of a mess because of the thing. And all of the players that used to get us out of jail, like Harry Kane and all the rest of it, long gone. And Spurs are the guy at the casino who sat there and he's just basically watching his life savings ebb away. And something radical needs to happen, which is why I say the Lewis family need to wake up and do something in January and spend big. And that, my lads, is the case for the defence.
Chris, over to you, sir.
Well, I agree with parts of H's passionate opening argument. All I will say is that we don't seem to be learning, and for me, I have problems with Frank's approach. What's he asking the players to do? Do they actually understand what he wants? Can they buy into it? As at times they look as if they're not playing for him, but equally what goes on the pitch Monday to Friday as a fan, I want effort, I want energy. I don't want too much aggression as when we're aggressive. We have 2 players sent off, but I certainly want teams to turn up, which they haven't done for 6 or 7 games already this season. And yeah, we know we've got a shit squad. That's not even up for debate. But my feeling is that he should be getting a lot more out of that squad than he currently is. Like that team that took the pitch against Liverpool last Saturday, there were 263 international caps amongst that starting 11. 10 of them were full internationals. So yes, we can replace him. Does that achieve anything? Who knows? But for me, it's the whole, at least have a go. And we've seen lesser teams over the years. Your Leeds, for instance, now on paper, we've got a far better squad than they have, but they are men, whereas we are children, and they've got the energy, they've got the determination, and they've got the passion, and they're rolling their sleeves up and getting on with it, which we're not. So sport is a performance-related business. If he's not coming up with the goods, there need to be serious questions about him. And the other thing I ask is, we would believe that we have a new board structure and footballing structure now. If that same structure was there before Daniel Levy left, would he have been their guy? It's just something, if he is, then get behind him, give him 4 or 5 transfer windows. But he's culpable to this mess, and he doesn't get off it scot-free, and he has to put his hands up and say it's not working or he could be doing better. So that's my opinion. I'm not Frank out, but I'm also, is Frank the right man? And by that, his CV wasn't really glamorous, and what was acceptable at Brentford, their aim was to always stay in the Premiership for the finances. They've got a small.
But he's not. But sorry, he's not. He's not even doing what he did at Brentford.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
But surely doesn't that? And I'm not. This isn't an attack. It's just I'm throwing it into the pot. Doesn't that suggest to you there's something more intrinsically wrong?
Well,
if he
the whole.
I mean, because at least Brentford's. And we had this conversation after the Arsenal game. Brentford's record against Arsenal is far better than our own record against Arsenal.
Yeah, but if we're going to pin our colours to the mast, we need to make sure it's the right person, and by that we need somebody who can. We've had too many managers. We need to create a dynasty. We need.
That's entirely my point. I agree with you. I'm saying to you that on paper, his achievements against Arsenal at Brentford were superior. They were better than ours, and also at Brentford, they didn't look as if they were about to get relegated before Christmas.
No, I'm just saying we've got to. I'm not sure this is the right man for the long-term project. I'm not sure he produces.
And again, I agree with you. But didn't we say that about Pochettino when he ran out of good players and his players were fatigued and he lost the Champions League final? Didn't we say that about Nuno, who screamed he wasn't fit enough to be in the Premier League? Didn't we say that about Tony Conte, who also hit a wall? And didn't we also say that about Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest and most successful managers on this planet? I don't know about other planets, but on this planet, one of the greatest, won everything that isn't fucking nailed down. Yeah, so I agree with you, but so that's where my brain is. I'm thinking to myself, listen, I don't give a damn about Thomas Frank. I really don't know him. I don't care for him. I don't like him. I have no feelings. It's a bit cold from me. But didn't we say the same things about other people with stellar CVs? And that's my concern.
I'm just being substituted from the dining room into the kitchen, so I'm going to let Tony take over, and I'm going to turn the camera and mic off. But I am here.
Okay, jolly good. But didn't we say that about those guys as well, Tony?
We did. No? And again, the thing is as well, H. I'll go back just before I address those points. I'll go back and say, isn't it amazing that if you're in a club that actually wants to win something, you start winning things? Again, Conte won the Super Cup with Napoli a couple of days ago. I mean, he goes to everywhere he goes, he wins stuff, except when he comes to Spurs.
Funny that, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
I mean, this is the point. This is the point that I make is that there well, it doesn't appear there certainly is an issue where Tottenham fans look at Spurs in splendid isolation to the rest of the world, history, and just like, and it is the horse's blinkers on. Are you not seeing what happens elsewhere? Now, this isn't me telling you that Thomas Frank is wonderful and he's an unrealized magician. I'm just saying, if we look at what happens elsewhere, I mean, Mourinho left us, and this isn't cherry picking. I mean, Conte's just lifted that trophy. Mourinho left us, went to Roma, lifted a trophy, and everybody says the same thing. Well, yeah, this is what I do, unless you take me to N17. And then there appears to be a blockage. And that's all I'm saying. Yes, I think there's faults with Frank. Yes, I think that there were faults with Mourinho. I 100% think there were faults with everybody we've had. However, the overriding consistency when you're looking at the data, when you're looking at the numbers, is that the biggest fault is THFC.
You're looking at causation and correlation, aren't you? That's what you're looking at.
Well, call me old-fashioned.
You know, you old correlation causation person, you.
I mean, when you see a beautiful lady and she is saying nice things in your ear and you are feeling very warm and fuzzy, you're thinking that happened the last time a very beautiful lady made me go warm and fuzzy. You have like this kind of muscle memory, whereby you identify what makes you feel happy and what makes you feel sad. And I'm looking at football managers who have done certain things with us and certain things with other people, and it just doesn't stack up. Like I was saying there, Chris, I certainly didn't find Mourinho to be without fault. I certainly didn't find Conte to be without fault. But at this club, nobody appears to excel. And yes, I'm very happy to shout at people and say he sucks. Where's the substitutions are shocking, blah blah, all the rest of it. But I'm not prepared to put the blinkers on. I'm not prepared to ignore what's happening down the road.
I accept.
I'm not prepared to ignore what these managers do when they go to other places. Conte, who everybody hated, has now lifted another trophy in Italy. There's got to be a grassroots problem in this football club. There has to be. It can't be about the tactics and this, that, and the other. We're not buying good players. We're buying punts. We're taking chances. We are perpetuating the myth that absolute plinths like Richarlison are fit to play in this division. And then we're wondering why the outcomes are so poor. You know, I mean, even Pochettino, as much as I looked down my nose at it because I was so fed up with the blind admiration that we showed towards the guy, he did actually win stuff with PSG. Nobody leaves us and retires. There's even talk, which I regard as utterly specious at this moment in time, of Paul Mitchell coming back onto the scene. And what's he done? I mean, Paul Mitchell is a guy who has carved out, again, I'm going to use that awful phrase, which a lot of people listening to these things don't care for, has carved out a brilliant CV.
I think we've got to look at, with Thomas Frank, I do agree with what Chris says a lot there. What it is that I was expecting more than what I'm seeing, which does concern me. However, the other part of me says we can't keep going down this route of getting rid of managers very, very quickly, because all that then does is continues that reputation that we have of being a hire and fire sort of organization, where another potential prospect manager, when we're trying, if we were to do anything, were to recruit, you'll go, yeah, well, why would I want to go there? I'm probably not going to last more than 15. You know, the only reason I'd go there is to get a massive payday when I get sacked in 17 games time. So why would I go there? But secondly, I think with yeah, indeed. But with Thomas Frank, I think first of all, we don't have good enough players. Let's be bluntly honest about it. The squad is not. We are where we are because that's exactly where the squad should be. I don't think we're any more than a couple of extra places above where we should be. Let's be honest about that. But also, I just want to see him. Lots of good managers have become good managers because they've been given time. They've been given time to develop the squad in the way they want to develop the squad. I know it's an old story, and we could all quote it. It's an exception rather than the rule. But Ferguson was within one game of getting sacked, and he was having a terrible time at Man United. He wasn't producing the results. The football was awful. He was literally, there was rumoured, very strong rumour, he was one game away from getting the sack. He managed to win that, and all of a sudden, it all started to click. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but sometimes time is your friend as opposed to your enemy. And I'm just thinking we just need to give them a little bit of time, have a couple of transfer windows where we can actually invest in some decent players. God knows what they're going to be like, because again, the only problem with that we now have is our reputation is so poor. We've got players like Semenyo going, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And I'm not being funny. He's not the greatest player in the world. He's a quality, talented player, but he's not an elite player. He's not an elite player. Now, I hear he's going to Man City. I know Chelsea are involved, but Man City are in advanced talks with him. Now, that's the sort of club where regardless of all this money, I don't care whether, this might sound a bit horrible. I don't care where the fucking money comes from. It's as long as we, as a club, as are moving forward, I don't care where it comes from. I really don't. And a lot of people go, oh, I want it to be this. And I went, no. If you're a Man City supporter, how successful have you been since the Saudis came in? That's all supporters care about. We're very simple animals. We want our club to win. End of story.
Well, that's how normal supporters talk, Tony. And dare I say it for the umpteenth time, you talk like a normal supporter. But at Tottenham, we're too busy. The only time we look at what's happening over the road is when we want to distance ourselves from success. Chelsea, dirty money. I have never heard a whimper of this from other football fans. I've never
look at the trophy cabinet, H. Look in their trophy cabinet and then tell me dirty money. Tell me dirty money. End of story. Don't want to hear it. Just don't want to hear it.
I want money which they can guarantee has come from harvesting baby organs. I want the dirtiest money going, and I want piles of it. I want it all scraping the ceiling. I want it fusing the light bulbs. I want warehouses full of filthy money. I want money with blood on it. That's what I want. I don't want clean, inclusive money. I don't want money
green money, renewable money.
No, I don't want DEI money. I don't want money that was brought to you in association with the Family of Man's LP collection. I want money that I know there's been exploitation and sacrifice and degradation behind it. You know?
All we need now is the Stevie V classic Dirty Cash Money Talks to be into this,
Eric B and Rakeem. That's what we need. That's what we need. You know, more money, more problems. I'm honestly sick of this squeaky clean. We did it our way, and that's why we're sitting on the poorhouse steps.
Right, we did it our way. We did. What did we do our way? What did we do our way? That's the thing. What did we do our way? We haven't done anything our way.
We lost and we humiliated ourselves live on TV. We went all the way to a European Cup final, proper European Cup final, and we got humiliated because we didn't show up. That's what we did. This has been an exercise in they would have said during the sort of Edwardian times of making us more resilient and stronger men. This is the equivalent of sending us to a third-rate boarding school. The cold showers have served us well. This is what supporting this club has been like. I'm down the road in the brothel, in the backstreet abortionists of football clubs where nasty things are going on, dark and dirty deeds. People are enjoying the success because they're not chained to the mediocrity of this bloody football club.
It's great to have morals when you can afford to have morals when you've already been successful. But on the way up to trying to be successful, you have to loosen your morals just a little bit, which is what businessmen, successful people do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I would love to be as wonderful as Gary Neville, as certain actors, and be a lefty lovey. But I'm not. I'm an avaricious monster. And the sooner people wake up to, if you want to spend your life struggling and praying and hoping and wringing your hands every time you see somebody doing well, great. It's not for me. It's not for me. I like single-use plastics. I actually use paper plates in the house when I don't have guests because I can't be done with washing up because I'm not a moron. That's who I am. I'm a monster. I've escaped from somewhere. I shouldn't be allowed out. I don't mix well with others. You know, be proud of who you actually are.
To quote the bard, to thine own self be true.
Be true. Be true. And do you know what? Do you know the worst thing about me? I sleep like a baby. I don't have any recriminations. I don't cry. I don't. When people die that I don't know, it doesn't affect me. I don't rejoice at the fact, but we all die. I'm not, I'm twisted. I'm nasty. I want to win. And you see, I mean, I found that mug. My ex, bless her, she found the mug with the quote on it. I've got it here. There's probably something growing in it at the stage. See, didn't even do the bloody washing up. He wasn't lying, kids. For 90 minutes, we have to be a bunch of cunts, intelligent cunts, not stupid cunts. And those words will serve you well in life. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. So that's why you and I, and I'm speaking, in a metaphorical sense here, you and I are never going to get on as fans of this club because I'm not prepared to sit on my hands going, I wish Thomas Frank get a tune out of him. So do I, dear. But until ENIC start acting with a little bit more energy, a bit more bite, a little bit more purpose, we're going nowhere. What are we going to do? What are we going to do to liven things up on the 70th minute? It is Ben Davies coming on.
The saviour.
Do me a favour. Do me a favour. Honestly, go and get me some money that has come directly from people smuggling and infant organ harvesting. I want cash money. I want us to win. I want us to be able. So this winter, and I'm going to say it for the bazillionth time, don't mumble. Stand up straight. Project your voice. Go buy me some good stuff.
And with
I walked into Selfridges yesterday because I don't care what you think. I really don't care. I walked to Selfridges. I bought a bottle of Paul Roger, 70 quid. Because I just stood up straight. I said, one of those, please. And she came over. She goes, 69.99. Not a problem. There you go. Bang. That's what you do. And there's been many years when I've not been able to afford to do that. Absolutely. Absolutely many years. And I'd be quite happy living my life at my level. But be to thy own self be true. Stop mumbling and pretending that you're going to save the world. Go down the shop. If you've got the money, you go down the shops. ENIC, Lewis family. Go down the shops. Bang. I'll have one of those, please. What do you mean by that? I said, I want one of them. The one on the top shelf. I want one of them. And then tell me that Thomas Frank can't get a tune out of him, and I'll agree. Send him down the road with all the other managers that got a tune out of lots of players before they came to us and lots of players after they left us. And I'll go back because it did make an impact. It did make me think when I met Chris Muir, when we went to Malvern, and he let me into the inside information, which is probably why Tottenham brought him in, that the value, the margin, the multipliers that Thomas Frank got out of his players and their buying department was about 80% margin profit, which is great. And you only make 70% in a pub on a good day. So if you can get 80% on footballers, that's tremendous. And that is putting it into the old money. That's buying somebody for about £1 and then you sell them for £1 million. That guy does know what he's doing because he's done it at Brentford. Maybe it was a one-off. I don't know. And I'm more to the point, I don't actually care. I want it to happen at Spurs. And if he's not doing it at Spurs, then there's an issue. But I'm telling you now, Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, Pochettino, whatever his name was, they didn't get to do it at Spurs. This is not by chance. Those are 4 big names that didn't work at Spurs. You can't tell me it's all down to them and the fact that they can't get their substitutes right. They can't get their methodology right, their tactics. Forget it. It's too long and detailed and drawn out. Doesn't have any facts. The facts are coaches who come to us, they don't do well when they're at Spurs, and that needs to change. And that's down. That's the heart of the matter.
The whole infrastructure of the club's rotten, though, isn't it? And we've said this time and time again. You've got the whole shambles of Paratici, who was clinging on for anybody that have him. AC Milan reviewed it and said, "No, this might be a bit dodgy for us based on his not criminal links, but his shenanigans in the past." So, cap in hand, he comes to Tottenham, and it's alleged that Daniel Levy had actually given him a contract a month before it was publicly announced. So he was on the payroll a month beforehand. Now he's decided that his number one guy, who was going to be his head scout, he was initially told was allowed to come with him. Now he's told he's not. And he's also working alongside an absolute plank in Johan Lang, who with Aston Villa were only too happy to celebrate him running out the building.
Aston Villa, I can give you a little bit of insight here because I'm your man on the ground. Aston Villa Football Club is only 20 minutes up the road from where I'm sitting now, and they're delighted. absolutely thrilled that he's no longer with them.
Yeah, and look at some of the shite that he's overseen bringing into Tottenham. Like the other day, we know we've got this dire need for a left winger, but instead of signing men fit for purpose, ready to go, ready to fight in the trenches, we're looking at 16-year-olds from a relegated Leicester side. We're looking at a 20-year-old who I've never heard from, Ajax, and then there's other names that have been thrown into the equation. You almost have to go inner Danny, the old fullback Rose, and get out Google to understand who these players are, and then you find yourself visiting YouTube to see if they're any good or not. And this is all down fundamentally to poor people being employed in key positions. But what it does is you've lost Matt Wells. I don't worry about that. Good luck to the guy who wants a coaching role somewhere. But to go to Colorado Rapids, that says a lot about you and your ambition. And then you've got...
that's a retirement move.
Yeah. Then you've got Paratici.
That's us going home and saying to the wife, "You'll never guess what I've done." That's one of the ones where he's going to have great sex for probably forever.
And then you've got Paratici saying, actually, I'm prepared to leave Tottenham for the team that are rock bottom of the Serie A, Fiorentina, who, with the exception of the 5-1 win the other night, have been diabolical this season. That says that the house of cards has fallen to pieces. And Vinay, who we were told was so connected to the fans, it was all about trust and keeping the fans on board, he's been abducted. Actually, he's holidaying with Dominic Solanke, because both of them have not been seen for so long. The whole thing is a mess, a massive one.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, these are fundamental things. I mean, all jokes to one side, we've got players that are incapable of staying fit. We've got players that have been bought that clearly are not doing it in training. And again, I would humbly put before the court that if we have a training match and a certain player isn't looking like they're amazing, they're not going to get into the starting 11. Doesn't matter how you feel, how upset and slighted and shortchanged you are. If they look like they're a little bit poo-poo, they are very unlikely to start on Saturday. That's the way football works, and that's what Thomas Frank is up against. And I'm telling you, I would be stunned. I would be stunned if Taylor was any good in training.
I would also offer into people's exhibit F by now, probably. Go on. Arsenal at Crystal Palace last night. That was a team. Look at Crystal Palace. Arsenal played a very strong side. It wasn't their first team, but it was very strong because they've actually managed to build some quality up in their squad, and they've got decent people who can come off the bench. And they went 1-0 down with about 10 minutes to go. But did they sort of start feeling sorry for themselves? No, they didn't. They got the equaliser in the 92nd minute, and they kept pulling it. They kept going. And it was a team that was obviously 100% believed in themselves, believed in their manager. They weren't mentally fragile like we are. And it's no, despite the fact they've had to sell players like Eze and Elise and what have you, they've still managed to recruit. They've got a good structure in place. And my attitude is to that is they've done that on a shoestring. We have thrown stupid money at the likes of Richarlison, Tell, all these people that we talked about constantly, and yet we're in this fucking disaster. As you quite absolutely quite right, you put it on your moniker there, Chris. Groundhog Day, over and over again, same shit, different day, and I'm really fucking bored with it now. It's just so boring.
We could potentially be about to do it again with Savinho. Why would we sign that bloke? He is not what we need in a million years.
That's a Ponzi scheme of a player. They bought him from one of their own businesses at an inflated market rate. A 5-year-old could tell you what a stupid move that would be.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We've just signed shit. Every but one of our squad is shit, with the exception of maybe Mickey van der Ven. Nobody else, any of the top clubs, come anywhere near.
When I went to see Villa the other week, and this is relevant because you mentioned Crystal Palace there. It was the same thing. Unai Emery has a team playing as a unit. They've got a defined plan. They've got a structure. And there was a few incidences where the ball ended up in row F or the ball was bounced over somebody's head, which is down to the player being technically inefficient, not being of the required standard. But you could see that they were working. They were adhering to a plan. You could see that if they had good players, like when Morgan Rogers on the ball, everybody's like, they're watching, like children. And we don't have that. It's very rare. There's that oof. And
we did have it, OH. We did have it, but we spunked it by deciding that a stadium was more important than a team.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to drag us into that bigger conversation, do you? Well done. Well done, because you're right. You're absolutely bloody right, because the focus has never been on the football in our lifetime. And that was, we'll go into it. That's another 3-hour conversation. But you're right. Football isn't at the heart of this business.
No.
I mean, put these words down when you're as a Tottenham fan, the footballing side of the business. That's how ENIC refer to their operations when they're talking about the stuff that happens on the
What's
grass.
the other phrase as well that's used? Anchor tenant. Your own fucking football stadium where your own fans are paying hard-earned money to go and watch the team, and the best they can come up with is you're an anchor tenant.
And don't tell me that when you put in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because it's got a good sponsor, that on Google it comes up and you've got the NFL logo on the pitch. Don't tell me that happened by chance.
At least when you watch the NFL,
at
least when you watch the NFL, you've got real men on the pitch. That's something we
100%.
Well, I don't know about that. They've all got these. They're all. I'm sorry, the world's gone far too cosplay for me these days, and I think NFL football was probably the start of it.
I bet
that was only the start of it.
I bet none of those boys sit down to take a piss, though. In fairness to them.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson possibly going to wherever. And
Palace, I think, wasn't it? Is it Palace?
No,
I think
I read Villa the other day.
No,
you read her where?
Villa, like a short.
Villa.
Aston Villa got no interest because they're actually looking to export some of their own gentlemen that need to sit down for a wee. I mean, the idea that anybody would want Brendan Johnson is utterly farcical, totally surreal. Oh yeah, but he's got some really important goals. Yeah, so did I when I was a teenager, and look at me now. I mean, give it up. Give it up. It's like saying Richarlison, somebody somewhere could get a tune out of him. Stradivarius couldn't get a tune out of him.
Chris, you said about Savinho. It's very telling. City never offload the players that they rate. Now, the only one exception to that might be Cole Palmer. Yeah. But there was a reason for that at the time. He just didn't fit in. He just didn't fit into where they wanted to be. So Cole Palmer is probably the exception to the rule. But honestly, someone like Savinho if they want to let him leave, they clearly don't value him, but they value him in terms of the Wonga.
What was the last wank muffin they did that with? Not last one, but can you remember that Spanish fullback Pedro Porro?
Yeah.
He decided he was wank, and now the rest of the league. What an absolute bell end for that social media post he put out about my captain. Nothing to do with the red card and the
what is this? What is this thing, Chris?
Of the season. He's my big coach.
What is it, Chris? What is this thing, Chris? What fucking medication are you taking this morning?
I tell you what, I haven't taken enough. That's the problem.
What is this thing, Chris?
You've got to go mad because you can't stay sane discussing these morons.
And I've seen it not only on the social, but I've seen it on other things as well in other clubs where somebody gets sent off and their players are like giving them high fiving and say, "Oh, well done, mate." And what the fuck is? You've just cost your team. You've just cost your team. End of story.
When I was there on Saturday, I could not believe that our fans were clapping Simmons off when he'd been sent off. I'm like, you've had a brain dead moment. You've disadvantaged your team as they've now got to play for 70 minutes for 10 minutes.
Shows how out of touch you are.
Excuse me, but where's the congratulations there? If you were coached by me, I'd be effing and jeffing, throwing you into the changing room and telling you you've let your team down. You're going to be docked 3 weeks' wages and you'll be lucky if you start for me again. But in this
I'm gonna-
modern era,
I don't know, Chris. I honestly don't know how your brain works because you missed this entirely. Because not only did the crowd support him being sent off, but after the match, the club Cabbage and his apprentice Cabbage, they were talking about character. You
Yeah,
appear to have missed the character.
yeah.
You appear to have completely missed the character, which thousands of people paying good, hard-earned money, clean-earned money. No body part harvesting. No human trafficking was involved. Money, right? They paid good money for that, and you're sat there. It was character. You weren't feeling the character. I question your role on the club, on this podcast, everything. Suddenly, I'm wondering who is it that I'm talking to.
Well, I was a man who once walked into a boardroom with a ticking vest around my waist.
It didn't work, Chris. It didn't work.
Now I have
It didn't work.
Hey, my mum and dad asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I said tickets to Dignitas.
Chris walks in there with his suicide vest. He walks in there with his suicide vest and goes,
he says, "Dear Jim, please could you fix it for me to live a life of misery?"
Yes, you can be a Tottenham fan for the next 50 years.
just to keep in with the Christmas scene. Chris walks into the boardroom with suicide vest, going, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers!"
Yeah, and then
now I have a machine gun.
And then they'll be able to say, "There's another Chris who won't be driving home for Christmas."
Yeah. Very well done, sir. Very well done. I doff my cap indeed, sir.
It's checked out.
Yeah, I've got to address 3 points from the game as well. Especially with this shit on social media at the moment. Honestly, Facebook at the moment is just there's a meltdown from both Spurs and Liverpool supporters. First of all, anybody who doesn't think that Xavi Simons was a sending off, go and check yourself into the nearest clinic very, very quickly. It's a red card. That is all. End of story. End of story. Anybody who thinks that Van der Ven's tackle was a leg breaker, it wasn't. Yes, it wasn't a leg breaker in terms of he went in there with an express desire to damage Isak. It was a legitimate tackle. It was unfortunate. It's a footballing accident, nothing more than that. But Liverpool players and Slot and whatever, not players, even the players, one of the things I know from my football, from my refereeing, is if there's a dirty, nasty tackle goes in, everybody gets involved. Everybody gets involved on the pitch. They all go mental. Not one player, even Isak himself, didn't react that way. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily the sole criteria, but that tells you an awful lot about what they think.
I say it actually tells you everything you need to know. Football is a contact sport. Is it? It's not very caring and considerate, is it? Yeah, well, it is a contact sport, and Scousers.
I've been
case rests.
Yeah, I have a bet with you. I bet Isak comes back from his broken leg quicker than we see Solanke on the pitch again.
Yeah, that's a bet I'm not taking, Chris. That's not. I don't believe in throwing my money away.
I'll give you a bet. That's a better bet. I don't care. Solanke is irrelevant. Solanke is so irrelevant, and the fan base have built him up in their minds based upon nothing.
The more games he misses, the better he becomes.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
Oh Jesus! If we had Solanke, would be fourth.
Well, we're currently paying the same emotional hotel bill for Bentancur because Bentancur was a world-breaking talent when he wasn't playing for us, and he's come back and flatlined.
So let's not forget last year we were calling him so wanky, and that's for a reason.
Wank muffin, wank muffin, wank
muffin t-shirts available from theboyhotspur.com. But you look at that; it's absolutely true. But the other point, Romero, I'm sorry, just not about Captain Fantastic, Captain fucking idiot, and it happens again and again and again and again. And people are going, "Oh, it was unfortunate." No, I'm sorry. Do you not watch football? You clearly don't watch us play. You don't watch us, and you don't watch Romero. He's a walking red card. It literally is a walking red card. Every game he goes into, you don't know whether he's going to last 90 minutes. It's just incredible. And this is our leader. Come on, let's just have it. Not having it.
He goes down easier than the Belgrano, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah, you stole that from. Yeah. You stole that from me. You did.
Well, speaking of PTSD, we've hit the hour mark. Any more for any more?
Other than to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and I look forward to us losing away at Crystal Palace on Sunday.
I have to tell you, Crystal Palace, that looks less like a football match, more like a very, very, very tall jump towards the end of the Grand National.
I'm just hoping that for the same Crystal Palace that turned up against Leeds, because they had an absolute mare at Leeds, didn't they? They lost 4-1 at Leeds, and they were absolutely blasted. But I mean, that's not typical though of them. That's not typical of them.
All I'll say with Palace is they're experiencing the too many games for European football. Glasner wanted to strengthen the squad. Parish didn't back him. Glasner will be off your fuck at the end of the season, and somebody will pick up a really good manager. I think if Frank hasn't turned it around by the time Glasner becomes available, I would not have a problem with Glasner being brought in, none at all, because he's actually proven that he can win something with a squad. Can I be the first one out? Can I be the first one to say Glasner out?
You first of all, that's really annoying because that's what I was about to say, and second of all, up your kilt, as they say north of the border. But yeah, no, I think Glasner's done very well, but I think the secret here could be if we looked at Unai Emery and looked at the way that he wasn't supported at Arsenal and how he has been supported at Aston Villa. So this isn't me saying careful what you wish for, because that's a phrase I despise, because that looks to suffocate people thinking. But if we're going to get somebody else in other than Frank, we can't present him with the same dumb options that we have at the moment. And I refer back to the other guys.
Villa fans were calling for Emery's head at the start of the season when he was having a shit time.
Yeah,
of course they were.
I think Unai's got a little bit more about him than Frank.
He has. I think I do agree. He's proven, isn't he? He is proven on a lot deeper level.
Hate to use those terrible, but he's got a CV. It might not be wonderful, but he's got a CV. Listen, I don't hate. I don't have hate in my heart for Frank. I don't love him unconditionally, but I think the problem is well above his pay grade. Well above it. And the Lewis family need to get their act together, and they need to have everything in order. I don't want to hear or feel, which is the same bloody thing in this game, that we sat down with the lads halfway through the transfer window and said, what is the strategy here? I want them to have got this boxed off, written up, and they've got their targets in sight, and they've locked in, and they've had negotiations now.
So very quickly before we leave, looking at a Paul O'Keefe message that came out last night, Vinay apparently was one on the new board pushing for Frank, apparently. So it wouldn't surprise me if they kept him until the summer and then reassessed. Welcome back, Maurizio Pochettino.
Well, I tell you what, I have been doing this for a while, and that is classic filling the void journalism.
Yeah.
That's the sort of shite I'd expect Gold My Beer to bring us.
That's what they call the god of the. They call that there's the logic is they call that the god of the gaps.
Correct. I know what I could put in there, and nobody in the world could call me a liar. There was a master of that. What was his name? The chap that used to Arsenal fan used to write for the Mirror. John Cross. He used to produce transfer rumours that were all crafted, because they were crafted, to fill a void, and they would have supporting argument pillars within them which supported the construction of the so-and-so to so-and-so, and that's one of those. Well, Thomas Frank, the board have decided not to cast the club into mayhem in the next 3 weeks, and they're going to wait until the summer. Well, colour me shocked and fuzzy and happy by that. What a load of old pish.
So I'm just what H. I am not going to go out today and spend £2 billion on a beachfront property in Cornwall.
Yeah, exactly. Funny enough, I decided last week that I wasn't going to marry a supermodel. I mean, it's crazy, and people were laughing at me a couple of days beforehand, thinking, "I bet he's going to try and marry a supermodel this week," and it didn't happen. So you should.
I'm just disappointed in you, H. That's not what you said you were going to do. You're not a man of your word.
Exactly. I mean, I was hoping you were going to say that next time round I won't be in front of sort of house clearance books, I'll be in my own boardroom next to the swimming pool.
Yeah, I know.
Playing shuttle,
Mate,
shuffleboard.
what you don't realise, this is all for display. I'm actually in my boardroom is next door. This is just so I look like a man of the people.
Yeah, exactly. And there's Chris.
Image, baby. It's all image, baby. It's all image.
Chris in his Bedfordshire prefab, smiling through the tears.
Hey, Tin Town Luton's a place of the people, I'll have you know.
Which people? Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Have you decided what pizza toppings you're going to have for Christmas Day, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to have Domino's Christmas special with a bit of turkey on it.
With a bit of tooth on your turkey.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, we've enjoyed it immensely. We will be back in the new year. Oh, and there was a chap saying, you can be more scheduled with the shows. No, my life comes over all of you. So other people are welcome to come in, step in and do it. But if I'm busy, you won't see me.
I told you not to speak about I've told you not to speak about your bukkake parties publicly again.
Yeah. No, I mean, this guy, the guy, and he's been, so you can't reply. But the idea that I answer to anybody is ridiculous. I've told you, I keep telling you, I'm not a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy.
Honestly, yeah. Except, apart from seriously, H, after these bukkake, at least clean up before the next one. At least clean up before the next one, mate. Come on, have some standards. Have some standards.
Authentic ones. And on that bombshell, part 2. Gentlemen, a distinct pleasure. Chris, thank you very much. Tony V, it's great to see how the other half live.